what is it like to live with a Jag F-Type R? So I have the keys to this 2016 F-Type R all-wheel drive. For a couple days, I traded cars with my friend for a few days. I've spent a lot of time with this car, actually. We took it to Chicago, so a road trip in this car, seen it around, driven it, been in it for a couple years now when we were both back in school. And to describe what it's like to live with an F-Type R in one word would be loud, because not in a bad way, in a very, very good way. I think one of the highlights of the entire F-Type range is the way they sound. From even a V6 to V6S to obviously the full V8R, holy crap, these power plants make excellent noises. I always have the exhaust in full loud mode, unless, like last night when I was coming home really late at night, I did put it in quiet mode for the sake of my neighbors trying to sleep at night, but it's oh my god, accelerating wise, popping, cracking on overrun. It's one of the best sounding engines out there from a stock perspective. Great looking car. You can clearly see for yourself. I think the convertible when they first launched is good looking. The coupe is so much better in every way. But I'm not doing a full-fledged, full complete dynamic overview review type of thing. Kind of want to talk about what it's like to actually just live with it, and I'm getting to experience that because I'm actually heading home from work right now. Been driving it to work, took it to the gym yesterday night. Washed it, living with it, put gas in it. What is it like? First of all, gas, like I just mentioned, it drains gas, and you're at the gas station a lot. If you look at Gordon F-Spot, he has an SVR. He's always at the gas station, and I exactly agree. I have a feeling I'm going to be at the gas station. I just burned a quarter tank in one day. What the heck? Not even driving that much. But because it sounds so good, you're obviously always downshifting and making those crazy cracking, popping noises. For the sake of the video, I currently have the windows up. Let's see. Can we make some loud noises? That's not even full throttle. That was like partial throttle. And as soon as you let off on the throttle, it just cracks and snaps and pops like insanity, which is the most addicting thing I have. It's just so much fun. Let's see, from more living with it perspectives, I've actually, since I've been using it more frequently, noticed a couple things I dislike. I think we'll get those out of the way. They're all very minor, small little quibbles. If you're taller like I am, it's not the most comfortable. It's a pretty big size car, and it's not like a supercar like a R8 where it's super cramped. And I actually think an R8 might be almost more spacious, but it's a snug fit in there, and I think the big complaint is if you see on the headrest area on the seat where it comes out here, that's right in the middle of my shoulder blades actually, because my head isn't down there because I'm not 5'6". But overall, the seats are very adjustable and pretty comfortable. The turn signal stalks and the windshield wiper stalks feel a little bit cheap and flimsy for their price range. They don't feel as solid as something you'd find in a BMW or something. Not sure what parts bin they pulled this out of. And then the last one is the infotainment is definitely far behind the Germans. That's true of all of the Jag Land Rovers. This one is at least a little bit better than the early F-Types when they first came out. Has been updated a little bit. The graphics are a little bit nicer. Cameras are iffy. But as I was talking to my friend Ben, the owner, we're like, honestly, we don't really use that beyond just music. And then you can use the actual really cool dial knob things for controlling your climate. So just Bluetooth on, you're good to go. The sound system is pretty dang good. It's a Meridian system. When you it sounds pretty dang good. I'm happy with it. It's got a smaller space to fill, and who cares how it sounds because you've got the soundtrack behind you. I don't know how much you can hear with the windows up because it's got pretty good sound deadening, but let's see. We can put the windows down. Wait, let's do it. Let's put the windows down a little bit so wind noise doesn't destroy everything. And we've got a tunnel coming up. And then when you give it any amount of gas and let off, it crackles and pops and snaps. All right, let's go back to driving like normal persons. So beyond those few little complaints, that's pretty much it. Cargo space is all right. So this is not a convertible, obviously, so you get a little bit of a bigger trunk, and it was able to fit enough luggage for 2 people to go to Chicago for a whole weekend. So nice weekend trip. You can fit a couple duffel bags. I've got a backpack, a couple other random bags in there right now. Power open, close trunk. Another feature that I like is, at least I think maybe all 16s are standard, but at least this one has the panoramic glass roof that you can open up, and it makes the cabin feel a lot more open and airy and just lighter. I like it a lot, and if it gets too hot, you just close it and you're good to go. This car does need some tints. Ben has not tinted it. Ooh, tunnel. Powertrain wise, again, we'll do a brief overview. It's that supercharged 5-liter V8, 550 horsepower in this car, 8-speed automatic ZF. When I first drove this, when it first came out, I drove a V8 R rear-wheel drive and the V6S rear-wheel drive. It was before Jag had launched all-wheel drive ones. It was in the winter, and we actually got it stuck in a snowy parking lot. Actually, might be kind of close to where I am right now. But this one is all-wheel drive now, so it's able to put the power down a lot better. My friend, who's the owner of this car, has driven it in the snow. This is his only car right now, and that's what he drives in the winter, and it works pretty well. The 8-speed ZF, I remember being super impressed when it first came out and I first drove it, and I think it's starting, the newer iterations, like when I just drove a X5M with another iteration of the 8-speed ZF automatic, it seemed to shift a little crisper, a little faster. Now, this has been out for a couple years, maybe it hasn't been updated, but it's still a great automatic transmission. You cannot get a manual with the V8 versions. Those are V6 restricted to, I think, V6 rear-wheel drive only if you want the manual. Other factors of what it's like to live with a Jag F-Type R. Talked about the fuel. It sounds amazing. It's actually, it's quite fast. I would probably get in legal trouble with the law, police officers in general. I mean, that's why I have a radar detector in the car, because it is quite fast. It's very good looking. I've gotten a couple compliments. People are like, oh, they immediately, that's one thing. Immediately know it's a Jag. You know, a company is successful in terms of styling of a vehicle if you take off all the badges, people still know what it is. For example, if you took all the badges, all the Porsche 911 badges off of any 911, people would be like, that's a Porsche, because that is their styling right there. Any Lamborghini, pretty much. You take all the badges of a Huracan, people will know it is a Lamborghini. Some people don't do that quite as well. There's some cars that sort of just look like a blend of things. So if you took the badges off, the casual passerby would be like, I don't know what it is. Long story short, people know this is a Jag. It is, I think, one of the best-looking cars designed in the last many years, and I've gotten a good amount of compliments. It turns a few heads, not as many as something like, I think my i8 actually attracts more attention. Me and Ben were talking about that last night. He goes, turns a lot of heads because it looks more like a spaceship. This is classic luxury coupe, refined, upscale, and I love this color combo, the white with the black accents and like these wheels too. I really like the wheels on this one. What are some other cool features of what it's like to live with the F-Type R? Again, this car is not going to be as precise and perfect as something like a 911. So this competes with something, in my mind, a 911. Maybe, why are you beeping at me? Oh, stupid radar. Competes with like a 911 Carrera S. It's got a little bit more horsepower, but this is like a more, if I were to decide, this is the more emotional vehicle. This is what I buy with my heart because it just looks so evocatively beautiful and it sounds so good. The 911 will be maybe better, feel more solidly built. The engineering, it might drive a little bit sharper, but it doesn't have the soul and character of the Jag. Couple other weird little niggles, not necessarily bad things, but just things you'll notice. The auto stop start kills the power to the cigarette lighter power point right there. So if you have a radar detector plugged in, which always do in one of these cars, every time if you come to a stop and you have engine stop start on, it kills power to the radar, and then when you turn the engine back on as you leave, it like the radar detector turns back on. So that's dumb. So immediately always turn that off. Loud mode exhaust is critical. Reliability is also another big concern. Living with the car, kind of owning the car too. I'm very good friends and owner of this car, so we've talked throughout the entire process of him having the car. It hasn't had really any issues. This is a 2016 model year car. It has 17,500 miles on it, and other than scheduled maintenance and stuff like that, it had one little weird issue with a speaker rattling or something. I believe that was taken care of. It's been worry-free, been treating him very well. It is not like the Jags of old, which the window switches would fall out. I actually had a personal experience once driving an old X-Type, and a friend pulled up and he wasn't getting out of the car. I'm like, why aren't you getting out of the car? And he goes, the door handle doesn't work from the inside on the driver's side. We're like, what? But the new Jags have definitely turned a new leaf over, and they're great. All the new Jag Land Rovers, just think about them. They're amazing. What it's like to live with one? Very very enjoyable and fun and puts a big smile on your face. Be prepared to spend a lot of money on gas because you're going to be high up in that rev range and listening to the cracking pops of the exhaust. I've really loved. I've only had this for 2 days now. A couple more days, so we'll see what else I'm going to use it for. Filming stuff. So those are kind of my initial thoughts of what it's like to live with a Jag F-Type R after these first couple of days, full time spending with it, plus the time I've spent with it beforehand.